Hello, today we're going to review the fundamental rules to obtain your CDL permit in North Carolina. This state has specific requirements for professional drivers, so let's get prepared for you to pass that exam on the first try. Here are the key questions for the North Carolina CDL permit practice test. What is the minimum tread depth for steering axle tires? 432-inch. Your steering tires are your most important link to the road. North Carolina inspectors look for this specific depth to ensure safety. Let's continue. What is the minimum tread depth for all other tires? 232-inch. While drive and trailer tires can have less tread than the steering axle, they must still be deep enough to provide safe traction. Next question. At what size should the low air pressure warning come on? Before it falls below 60 psi. This safety buzzer or light is your signal that the system is losing the air needed to stop the vehicle. Let's move on. How many red reflective triangles must you carry? 3. In an emergency, these must be placed at specific distances to warn oncoming traffic of your stopped vehicle. Continuing. What is the first step in a pre-trip inspection? Review the last vehicle inspection report. You must verify that any previously reported defects were repaired and that the vehicle is certified safe to drive. Next point. When should you downshift a manual transmission? Before entering or sliding down a hill. Changing gears early ensures you maintain control and use engine braking effectively before gravity or momentum takes over. Let's keep. What is the legal BAC limit? Carolina. 0.4%. As a professional driver, you are held to a much stricter standard than the general limit of a standard license. Next question. How far ahead do you look while driving? 12 to 15 seconds. Look ahead, high speed allows you to overcome emergencies. Let's continue. What is hydroplaning? When tires lose contact with the road and float on water. This loss of traction means you can no longer steer or brake effectively until the tires regain contact with the pavement. Next point. When should you use your high beams? Whenever it is safe and legal to do so. North Carolina law encourages using high beams in dark areas to increase visibility, as long as you aren't blinding other drivers. Let's move on. What is the purpose of a retarder? To help slow the vehicle and reduce brake wear. Retarders use the engine or drivetrain to slow the truck, which saves your service brakes for when you really need them. Continue. Use a retarder on wet or icy roads. It can cause the drive wheels to skid. When traction is low, the braking force of a retarder can lock up the drive wheels and cause a jackknife. Next question. How do you check for a secure coupling? Gently pull forward against the trailer brakes. This tug test is the only way to be sure the fifth wheel is actually locked onto the kingpin. Let's keep going. What is the maximum height for a vehicle in North Carolina without a permit? 13 feet 6 inches. Most bridges on North Carolina highways are designed for this clearance, so anything taller requires a special route. Next point. When must you stop at a railroad crossing with a placarded vehicle? 15 to 50 feet from this rail. You must stop, look, and listen for a train before crossing any tracks while hauling hazardous materials. Let's continue. What is the maximum air leakage rate for a combination vehicle brakes released? 3 psi in 1 minute. With the engine off and your foot off the brake, a leak faster than 3 psi means your system needs immediate repair. Next question. What is the maximum air leakage rate for a combination vehicle brakes applied? 4 psi in 1 minute. Applying the brakes puts more pressure on the lines, allowing for a slightly higher, but still very strict leakage limit. Let's move on. What should you do if your vehicle catches fire? Pull off the road to an open area. Parking away from buildings, trees, or other vehicles prevents the fire from spreading to your surroundings. Continuing. How do you test the parking brake? Gently pull against it in a low gear. With the parking brake set, the vehicle should resist movement even when you apply a small amount of power. Next point. What is the purpose of the tractor protection valve? It keeps air in the tractor if the trailer breaks away. This valve closes automatically if it senses a major air leak in the trailer lines, saving the tractor's brakes. Let's keep going. What is off-tracking? When rear wheels follow a different path than front wheels. In a turn, the trailer wheels will always cheat toward the inside of the curve, requiring you to swing wide. Next question. How often should you check your cargo? Within 50 miles and every 150 miles or 3 hours after. Regular checks ensure that your straps, chains, or tarps haven't loosened during the vibration of travel. Let's continue. What is brake fade? Overheating of the brakes. Using the brakes too much on a long hill causes them to get so hot they lose their ability to create friction. Next point. How do you test the service brakes? Drive forward at 5 mph and push the pedal firmly. You are checking to see if the vehicle stops straight and that the pedal feels firm rather than spongy. Let's move on. What color is the ABS malfunction lamp? Yellow. If this light stays on while you are driving, your anti-lock system isn't working, though your regular brakes still will. Continuing. Why should you avoid using the trailer hand valve to park? Air might leak out and the brakes will release. The hand valve is for testing and some maneuvers, but only the mechanical spring brakes are safe for parking. Next question. What should you check on the fifth wheel during inspection? That there is no space between the upper and lower fifth wheel. A gap means the trailer is high-hitched and could potentially fall off the tractor. Let's keep going. What is the safety valve in an air brake system set to open at 150 psi? This valve protects the air tanks from exploding if the governor fails to stop the compressor. Next point. How far behind the vehicle should you place the first warning triangle on a divided highway? 10 feet. On a one-way or divided road, the three triangles should be placed at 10 feet, 100 feet, and 200 feet behind the truck. Let's continue. What does the air compressor governor do? Controls when the compressor pumps air into the tanks. It cuts in when pressure is low and cuts out when the tanks are full to prevent overpressurizing. Next question. What is the best way to handle a tire blowout? Hold the wheel firmly and stay off the brake. Braking hard during a blowout can cause a jackknife. Instead, let the vehicle slow down naturally. Let's move on. What are the two ways to know when to shift gears? Engine speed and road speed. You can use the tachometer RPMs or the speedometer to determine the exact moment to shift. Continuing. When uncoupling, what should you do after locking trailer brakes? Lower the landing gear. You must ensure the trailer can support its own weight before you release the fifth wheel. Next point. What is a head from shifting cargo? In a sudden stop, the strong barrier prevents the load from crashing through the back of the cab. Let's keep going. If you're being tailgated, you should increase your following distance. By opening up more space in front of you, you won't have to brake, which prevents the tailgate from hitting you. Next question. What is the rule for using a fire extinguisher? Aim at the base of the fire. Attacking the base of the flames is the only way to effectively put out the source of the fire. Let's continue. When checking the air compressor belt, look for proper tension and no cracks. A slipping or broken belt means your air system won't recharge, which will eventually stop the truck. Next point. What should you do if your wheels start to skid? Stop braking and steer into the skid. Once the wheels start turning again, you can regain directional control of the vehicle. Let's move on. A weight limit number and spacing axles. This law protects North Carolina's bridges from being damaged by too much weight concentrated in one spot. Continuing. What happens when air pressure drops to 2045 psi? The spring brakes usually come on. When the air is gone, the mechanical springs take over and lock the wheels to prevent a runaway vehicle. Question. How do you check the slack adjusters? Pull hard on each one with gloves on. If the adjuster moves more than about 1 inch, it likely needs adjustment or repair. Let's keep going. What is the correct position for the landing gear during travel? Fully raised with the handle secured. Partially lowered landing gear can hit curbs, railroad tracks, or debris, causing a serious accident. Next point. Which glad hand is for the service line? Blue. The blue line carries the signal from your brake pedal, while the red line is for emergency air and supply. Let's continue. What must you do if carrying hazardous materials? Check for leaks and proper labeling. As the driver, you are the last line of defense to ensure dangerous cargo is being moved safely. Next question. What is the danger of an empty trailer during braking? It can bounce and lock the wheels easily. Surprisingly, a fully loaded truck often stops in a shorter distance than an empty one because of better traction. Let's move on. Why must the fifth wheel plate be greased? To prevent steering problems. Without grease, the friction between the tractor and trailer can cause binding, making it hard to steer through turns. Continuing. What should you do if you're sleepy while driving? Pull over and take a nap. Coffee and loud music are temporary fixes. Sleep is the only real cure for driver fatigue. Next point. What is the purpose of the emergency air line red? It supplies air to the trailer tanks and controls emergency brakes. This line keeps the trailer's air system charged so the brakes don't lock up while you're moving. Let's keep going. How do you check the trailer connection by looking? Ensure the fifth wheel